for two universities in Nigeria, Ekiti State University and Babcock University. I was in Nigeria around May, where we had a workshop for professionals from the educational sector. And that is one of the things we are trying to bring back, to Africa, to see a way by which we can develop some of these sectors like I've mentioned. So we have that. Again, remittance, if we want to mention remittances in terms of seed market,
I don't want us to go ahead of ourselves. So we're going to talk about remittance, but you mentioned something very, very critical that I need us to focus a little more. Your experience spans both foreign and local. Now, you just mentioned Ekiti State University and one other private university in Nigeria, in Babcock, to be precise. Now, when in your conversation, your interaction and your work with these domestic Nigerian universities with regards to the curriculum of education, with current realities, what did you find missing by way of your interaction and your experience? What do you find missing in Nigerian education system that we can borrow from the Western university system that could attend to our current reality?
Yeah, thank you so much again, my presenter. I think we've got a long way to go in Nigeria. And using Nigeria as an example, in Africa as a whole, we've got a long way to go. What we did in May was we decided to bring the two universities, like I've mentioned, together to see what we can do. And one of the things that we found that is missing in Nigeria is what is called internship. Internship opportunity is really missing. Though our polytechnic tend to have something like that, but sincerely, it's not really working. Based on our interaction with these stakeholders, we find out that there is need for us to develop curriculum that will focus on allowing students, while they were studying, they should also learn. They should learn practical skills, and that is really missing. In the United Kingdom, for example, we've got what is called apprenticeship. While you are studying, you can as well work, you can as well learn. You can learn from the barbing saloon, for example, and you are studying as well. It will be counted towards your study. In my university, the University of Bradford, I serve as a senior program, the program leader for senior apprenticeship. And who are these senior apprenticeship we're talking about? We're talking about the senior directors, those who are working, but they don't have educational background. They want to further their education while they are working. Yes, we focus on them, we deal with them, and we enroll them into the university, and we provide that platform for them. The practical aspect, they are learning it from their workplace, and we're giving them the theoretical aspect. That is really missing in Nigeria educational sector. And like I've mentioned, the British Council, we're also putting in for the phase 2 of that project. And we're going to be focusing on that particular aspect to develop curriculum that we have allow our students, our youth, while they are studying at their university, they are also learning practical skills. And if we can focus on that sincerely, we won't have issue with people leaving the country after they finish their education. They can go back to what they have learned while they are studying and make best use of it. They can move into business. They can do a lot of things. And I think, just to answer your question, that is one of the things that we have found that is really, really missing. There's no opportunity for practical skills to be developed while students are learning at Nigerian University. And we try as much as possible to address that particular through the British Council funding that we got in May.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oak. Now, because when we look at the time frame, you go to universities in Nigeria, you're having classes 7 a.m. in the morning, 2 hours, and 9 o'clock. Then probably you have another, maybe you have break for 1 hour. Other times you have a marathon from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. or to 4 p.m. Where are we going to have the time to go to the salon, to go to the bakery, or to go to other technical vocations where we can get some skills that will not only put money in our pocket, but can also tool us so that we will become very, very useful to our economic reality? Does that mean the revamping and the reform that is expected in our education sector will also go into time management, the way we learn?
Yes. So if there is any issue we have again back in Africa is time management. Many of us here we have learned it in a very hard way because our 9 a.m. for example here is 9 a.m. So even though 1 minute past 9, you are late already. So if there is anything we should also work on, like you've mentioned, is just time management. Because here in the UK, I'm sorry that I'm giving that example because we're also looking at the best practices. So here in the UK, the curriculum is divided between what you are going to be doing at your workplace and at your educational institute, for example. So if you are meant to be at your workplace between 9 a.m. to 12 in the afternoon, you need to be there, and everything you are going to be doing at your university will need to stop. You focus on that. You learn those skills there. Then, if you need to be back at the university, maybe from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m., anything you are going to be also doing will be focusing on developing your knowledge within the university. So everything you are going to be doing in terms of practical learning, we have to stop. So you can see the way we have divided it, and it's really working perfectly. In Nigeria, I don't think we've got that opportunity because we do not manage our time. If there is anything we are trying to put in terms of the curriculum development, is that time management. We need to have a structured time. For our students, if they are spending 30 hours learning a particular skills, that 30 hours needs to be spent accurately without dividing their attention. Because once their attention is divided, then there is no way they can meet up with what they are trying to do. And that's one of the things we are trying to do in terms of the curriculum that I've mentioned before we're developing, allocating proper timing for everything. And I think is very important. And this is one of the ways by which we can progress in our educational sector.
Thank you so much. Now, how did your experience teaching logistics and supply chain management influence your entrepreneurial approach to social impact?
Well, that's a very good question. Thank you so much for that question. If you look at my experience, I logistics is all about business as well. So there is no entrepreneur that will not know about logistics because you are going to probably, if you are into goods, for example, develop your product, moving your product from point A to point B. These are all logistics. So you need to know more about logistics. And when it come to entrepreneur, I've been a lover of business, sincerely. As at now, I own a school in Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, primary and secondary school, even before I left the country. And I've been in abroad now for the past 10 years, and that business is still going on, is still going perfectly in Nigeria. So you can see that what we are doing is not that we just started today. We've been doing it even before we arrived to this country. So my teaching logistics and supply chain as well influenced that because I work at the business school. And in terms of business school, our focus is entrepreneurial. Our focus is strategy development for businesses to thrive. Startup, medium, small, medium, scalable business to see a way by which we can move forward. So it has been part of me, and now working at the business school also hear that practical aspect that I've got from Nigeria. So I continue with this here in the UK. I've got an event space, for example, in Bradford, where we hold events, big events here in Bradford. One of the space that we can do that is from our own space that is called the event place. And you've mentioned my social enterprises, and all these things are influenced through my working at the University of Bradford, as well as being part of the business school, and especially teaching business students because we need to show them the practical things we are doing as well. So I use myself in most of the time as a case study when I'm teaching business and when I'm teaching supply chain. I use my organization as a good example for students to also see the need for them to think about becoming an entrepreneur at some point. So it has always been part of my life, and I'm working in that part.
Thank you very much. One part I want to ask is still related to your business. If you look at most African countries, one of the deficits or one of the critical problem that we have is building infrastructure, and most especially road networks that could connect and percolate deep into the rural areas that are engaged in serious farming activities. So by the time we do not have the existence of these roads, it calls for questioning. It affects the value chain of transporting agricultural produce to the urban centers that are in dire need of them. How can we take care of this challenge in the continent of Africa? Because it's really affecting productivity and it's affecting our non-oil export.
Yeah, thank you again for that question. To answer that question, because we are still developing, I think it's really difficult for us not to focus on the government. We still need to depend on our government to provide the basic infrastructure to the citizen. And why do I mention that? Because it is capital intensive. I can't decide now, because I'm not yet Dangote, to go and construct a road network from my village to a town center, And a lot of people are not be able to do that. And that is why our local government need to be responsible. The state government need to be responsible. The federal government needs to be responsible. If all these three tiers of government are responsible and provide these basic amenities, especially when it comes to the road infrastructure, then I don't think we're going to have problems. And if there is anything that I think our government needs to focus on, is to build a road network from the villages where some of these raw materials are coming. There is no way we can do without some of these villages that we're talking about. They provide us with the raw materials. When it comes to supply chain, the sourcing of raw material is key to supply chain. And where are these source of raw materials? Where are they coming? Most of them are coming from the farm. And that is why the farmer needs to be empowered. When the farmer are empowered, then they will be able to, even themselves, association, they can come up together and say, oh, we have been empowered by these people. What can we also do? And that could be palliative program that they themselves can come up with. That, oh, this particular road, this is what we are going to do. We can contribute money and do a palliative program just to make sure that this road is okay. But remember, if those farmers, if they are not empowered, they won't think about that. So it is when the government empower the citizen, that is when the citizen as well will think, what am I giving back to the city or to the community? So government needs to come up with opportunity to empower the farmers. They also need to develop our pillared infrastructure. If that is taken care of, then I think our supply chain can flow without any issue. These two things are very important. And that is when the farmers as well, they can think about giving back to the society.
Thank you so much, Dr. Oak. Now, before we go to remittances, I need us to attend to this question. Most times, you spoke about yourself, how you had the establishment of 2 schools, both a primary and the secondary school back here in Nigeria. You relocated abroad for a decade or over a decade at the moment, and it's still functioning. What should we be looking at by the time we start talking about Africans in diaspora coming back to Nigeria, coming back to Kenya, coming back to South Africa, Tanzania, or you just name it, or whatever part of the continent, and there is dire need for them to put down capital and attract equity in industries like agriculture, in fintech, in energy. Renewable energy has become the talk of the day, though these are quite capital-intensive businesses. So, is it possible for us to have some form of consortium of Africans in diaspora to come back to the continent and to go to any other country they have chosen as their choice location to establish businesses, so that we can tend towards industrialization, because we are seriously and excessively lacking in that aspect?
Thank you again for that question. And I will link your question to what made us to establish the African Business Association, Yorkshire, and that's about 3 years ago. And we look at developing the African entrepreneur here in the UK, and we're also looking at this entrepreneur giving back, to their country, establishing a link between where they are now and their home country. And that's one of our focus. And sincerely, I'm really happy. Like early this year, we work with the National Export Organization in Abuja, where we brought in some traders, from wholesaler from Nigeria to the UK, to showcase their product, from some of our members here. And before you know it, they've started trading. We're now bringing goods from Nigeria. Some of our members are bringing goods from Nigeria, selling them here in the UK, and taking some of these proceeds back to Nigeria, investing back in Nigeria. I've got one of my senior colleagues who is from Malawi, who is into security company here in the UK. It's one of the biggest security country with over 2,000 employees. And he was telling me a few months ago that he's now back in Malawi, trying to invest heavily in banking sector, in the security sector as well. So we can use the case study of African Business Association as a consortium that you've mentioned that is now encouraging people to go back to their home country, irrespective of your country, and see a way by which we can invest. Because some of us still believe that home is home. Whether we live here in the United Kingdom for 50 years, we are still Nigerians, and we will definitely go back at some point to give back to our society. So to answer that question, we're using the African Business Association, and a lot of our members are thinking about that. We're working with the Nigerian House, for example, in London, to see what are the investment opportunities that are there that we can invest. So we are doing that at the moment. And let me just stop there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hoke. Now, we will go on a break. We're taking a breather here. By the time we return back, we're going to go into remittances, diaspora remittances, how much it contributes to the continent of Africa, and how effectively it's been deployed into harnessing the raw materials in the continent of Africa and the soil of Africa to bring forth productivity and development in business and economy. We'll be back in a moment. It's Just Africa. Do stay with us.
Over the past 10 years, we've seen that the impact of many lawmakers have been underrated. If you are playing a pivotal role in enacting laws and shaping policies for your community, society, or nation, then this is for you. The People's Choice Legislative Excellence Award celebrates the individual achievement of lawmakers who have worked tirelessly to enhance the lives of their constituents and contribute positively to their entire well-being. Now, if you're wondering where this will be taking place, it will be taking place at Radisson Blu Dubai Creek on the 25th of September 2025. To take part in this award, all you have to do is send an email to souqnexus.com or send a message to the WhatsApp number scrolling on your screen. We want to see you at Radisson Blu Dubai Creek. Wouldn't you rather be there?
Welcome to the Africa Development Studies Center, ADSC. ADSC is an organization focused on training and research to advance sustainable development and growth in Africa. We exist to facilitate customized training, research, and study exchanges worldwide on leadership, management, and critical development issues. The center offers a platform for the exchange of ideas and best practices. Our comprehensive services encompass research, consultancy, capacity building, training, and education programs, as well as publishing and disseminating development-related knowledge. Our faculty consists of experts and researchers with extensive experience in policy formulation, implementation techniques, and monitoring and evaluation. Our methodology involves talks, individual and group exercises, games, video screenings, and discussion seminar sessions in a cozy atmosphere, making learning enjoyable for our participants. For more information, email us at info@adstudycenter.com or call +234 912 039 2362. Visit our website at www.adstudycenter.com to learn more about our programs and upcoming events. Africa Development Studies Center, rethinking development for Africa.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us. We are having a conversation with Dr. Olushola Deborode Kolawole, Dr. Oak, and we have been talking extensively about Africa and how both investment, remittances, and other aspects that is key to the economic development of the continent is a topic for conversation. Welcome once again to the program, Dr. Oak.
Yeah, thank you so very much.
Great. Now let's talk about remittances. We realize that when we talk about diaspora remittances to Africa, it's humongous. We've been told that between the UK and the United States alone, Nigeria is getting a chunk, and that for 100% of the diaspora remittances coming to the continent of Africa, Nigeria is cutting away more than 25% of that. So, when diasporans send back money, these monies are most of the time not directed into investment. And what do you think we can do, well, apart from sending money for upkeep of our parents, of our younger brothers and sisters, to take care of school fees and feeding? How well do you think we can direct that for it to bring forth development and productivity?
Thank you so very much again, my presenter. Now, when we look at remittance, just to give you a bit of background, diaspora remittances in Africa, as at last year, exceeded about 95 billion US dollar, and that's a lot of money, you know. Now, let's come back to Nigeria, which you have mentioned specifically. Nigeria in 2024, we had close to 23 billion US dollar as remittances. And like you've said, this might be to our family and friends, but specifically, we had close to 70% of those remittances for investment. And I just want to correct the fact that we are not only sending money to our family and friends, we're also sending money for investment purposes. So we had a lot of our friends. I know a lot of people that they built a lot of estates in Lagos, for example, that are meant for rentage. And we've got some of our friends too that own schools. They own a lot of organizations in Nigeria. And I think another thing that is really, really discouraging people, is because of the insecurity. That's one. Insecurity is one of them. Lack of trust is another thing. Whereby you send money to people, oh, do this thing for me. And at the end of the day, they will divert the money for their own personal use. We've seen a lot of things on the social media. Someone saying how money to build house, and at the end of the day, the houses were not built. So we have issue with trust. So if we can eliminate that, if people can be trusted, especially our family and friends who are living in Nigeria, that we are depending on, because many of us might not even come there and do some of these investment that you've mentioned. We might send people. If they can be trusted, then we can promote more diaspora investment in Africa. But if we are still having the issue with trust, then it's going to reduce. So we'll only depend on sending money to people either for heating and so on and so forth. So we have that issue. But just to let you know that 70% of many of us here, we still invest in Nigeria. A lot of people are buying, they are buying shares, government bonds, and so on and so forth. And these are perfectly working. But to encourage others who are not doing it, I think we really need to also encourage some of our people back home to also act in a way that we can trust them. When money is being sent to them, they should use it based on what it has been planned for. And another thing is that government should have a kind of structure, which I think is very important, encouraging some of us who are living here also to come back and invest in Africa. And how can this be done? If they've got a structure in place, possibly a one-stop, for example, where you can get information. We've advocated for one-stop program, for example, where anyone that is coming to Nigeria, for example, they can come and have an organization where they can get any information that they're looking for. Where to invest in Africa, for example, how much is it going to cost them? Are there people that can be put together to do that? So if we have that one-stop opportunity, then it can go a long way to encourage people who do not trust their family member, to also depend on government opportunity to invest back in Africa. And these are some of the things that I think we can do. The diaspora entrepreneur, I say sincerely, we are more than investor. We are also connectors. We are bridge that connects, African talent with global capital, ideas in terms of technology, and so on and so forth. But we need to be encouraged, by the government to have a structure in place that we encourage some of us to come back to Africa, to come back to Nigeria, for example, and invest.
Thank you. Now, this question is very, very key. You see some Nigerians, some Africans, be they from Ghana, from Kenya, Tanzania, whenever they are in their country, and with the little capital they have, they are unable to maximize it. But when they travel out of the country and they are working like yourself, they find it very, very difficult to make efficient and effective use of their capital or of their money to be able to save. What's the ease of doing business? We know the government over in Africa, most especially in Nigeria, they are fighting seriously to make sure that that ease is really entrenched in our system. But why are things business-wise work more effectively out there than here?
Yes, so to answer that question is very simple. It is because we've got a system in place here. We do not have system in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say that, but sincerely, we don't have system.
Can you define the systems that you're talking about?
About system, I'm talking about structure. So we've got structure in place. So for example, before I will start a business, I need to register my business with the company house in the UK. And before I start transacting, I need to open an account. And I am mandatory to submit my yearly report. And a lot of our viewers today, well, maybe they are small business owner. How many times have they submitted their yearly report in Nigeria, for example? How many times have they paid their taxes, for example? How many times have they done remittances, for example? But here in the UK, you are mandated to do that every year. And if you don't do it, there is what is called penalty. And before you know it, if you refuse to do it, there are punishments that are there for you, And these are the structure that we are talking about. So before you go into business, you will have calculated all these things and ask yourself, am I able to adhere to some of these rules and regulations? And if yes, then you must not fail. Then you can succeed. And if no, and that's why you cannot see a lot of people in business here, because they might not be able to adhere to some of these rules and regulations. We need to work on our institutional structure in Nigeria. We need to really work on that. If we're able to work on that, then it will be easier for people to do business. It is because of this institutional structure that is working perfectly in the United Kingdom. And that is why you can see businesses succeeding. I can't just wake up today and say, I want to close my business. I'm not doing it again. I must go through a proper government procedure to close my business if I want to do that. But do you know how many companies we have with CAC, for example, that are not functioning and nothing is going on? One person will have about 10 companies, and maybe 9 of them are functioning in Nigeria. It is because of poor institutional structure. That's what is causing this. And that's why you can see people can come in and go in. But here in the United Kingdom, we've got that structure in place. And not only that, we've got a system that works, like I've mentioned. We've got support at any level. The local government support is there. So if I want to start a business, I've got that local government support. I've got who to speak to. I've got people to guide me. You know, I've got people when I want to do my reporting, for example, I've got someone there that can be of help, pull me through. They don't just leave you alone that you should just face your problem like we do in Nigeria. A lot of people, they don't even have the basic understanding of starting a business in Nigeria. But here in the UK, you have courses that you can do, short courses with the local government where you live that you want to start a business. You have short courses that you can just go and take maybe for just 2 weeks, 1 week, just to understand the basic way of doing business. But we don't have some of those structure in Nigeria. And that's why we're really, really struggling. Until government comes in, or NGOs, until they comes in and see a way by which some of our people can be supported with basic understanding of how to start business, then I think that is where we can be more efficient when it comes to business.
Very much, Dr. Oak. Now, please talk to us about the incentives. Are there any incentives when these rules are completely adhered to by way of starting the business, because you seem to be providing some form of services and bringing succor to people who do not have jobs? Are there some form of incentives? And by way of taxation, do we have the existence of double taxation over there? And how can we overcome our double taxation challenge over here in the continent of Africa? But most exactly talk to us about the incentives that do apply in those climes.
Yeah, thank you so very much. So I think we've got just one tax system here. We've got what is called an organization that is called the HMRC. His Majesty Revenue and Custom. But if you look at Nigeria, the local government will collect their own taxes. The state government will collect their own taxes. The federal government is also there. So just like you've mentioned, we've got double taxes all around. But here in the UK, we've got only one single organization that collects taxes on behalf of everybody. But that does not mean that the local governments are not collecting their own, but they don't call it tax. You know, for example, I pay what is called business rate, and the business rate is I am paying that rate for the building I'm using, and which I think is also very important because I'm living in a local government. So where I'm conducting my business, I'm paying what is called business rate, and that business rate is only for the local government. Any other taxes, employee taxes, business taxes, goes to the federal government. And I think if we can think about harmonizing our tax organization, it can be of help, especially for the entrepreneur in the in Nigeria. And learning from the best practice here in the UK can go a long way to support our entrepreneur. In terms of incentive, part of the incentive is what I've mentioned. We've got just one task structure. And aside from that, the government here, they want you to succeed. So there are programs in place from one level to another. So in African Business Association, for example, we work with the West Yorkshire Combined Authority. The West Yorkshire Combined Authority, they are like a state in Nigeria. And to develop specific program for different tier of businesses. For example, someone that just started business that has no experience, maybe they are under 6 months, they have a course to attend to understand basic way, like I've mentioned before, of doing business. And not only that, there are incentives when it comes to seed capital, where the government can say, okay, we've got this seed capital for you. And they can be specific in terms of the sector. Maybe they're looking at tech, and they might say, oh, tech, you can access so amount of money, to support your business. I am organizing, if you look at my shirt, I'm organizing the Bradford African Festival of Hearts. It's being supported by the government. But we don't have some of these structure in place in Nigeria. You spend your money and there are no incentive. Nobody care whether you make money or you don't make money. And if you look at even the tasks we are talking about, if you go to the HMRC website, they will tell you if you are struggling to pay, please contact A and Z so that to discuss how we can help you. And there is difference between the company, the entity. There are two different people, the company and the owner as well. So should in case if your company failed, it is your company, not you. They deal with the company. And these are some of the incentives that encourage people to move into business. And I think it's very important. A lot of our leaders, they come over here. They know the best practices that we're talking about. But I think it's very hard for some of these to be implemented in Nigeria, which I think some of these ministers who are in charge of some of this entrepreneur that we're talking about should think about making use of some of this diaspora, to bring back some of these best practices. What we can do, how can we structure some of this policy, to help the development of enterprises in Nigeria. And if we do that, I think it's going to be of help to our dear country.
Thank you so much. Now, maybe this is going to be my last question for you. And whilst responding to this question, I will also advise that even some other aspects of the conversation you felt you needed to express yourself, or which you have not been able to address, you can actually include it whilst you are responding to this question. So beyond remittances, what practical steps can diaspora communities take to drive the real sector in Nigeria?
I think we need to, thank you again. We need to connect back to our dear country. For those who are from different countries, please, a lot of us have given up because we've been doomed, because lack of trust, like I've mentioned before, disappointment, insecurity. I think we should still know that our country is our country, and we need to also go back and develop that country. There is nobody that can develop our country if not us. So we've got that potential, the diaspora, and we've got the potential. We've got that opportunity. We need to be encouraged again by the government. I've mentioned something the last time, one-stop opportunity. For example, Rwanda, they've got that. Ghana, they have a dedicated agency that guides the diaspora, for example. In Nigeria, I know we've got NICOM or something like that. But I think they can do more, to give us, to work with some of us to develop those opportunities that we have got in Nigeria. And this might be a way to also develop our dear country, because we need those best practices from here. And we need to have what is called the knowledge transfer. Some of us have been here for long. what can we bring back to Nigeria? How can we develop the economy together? Because together we can do it. And that's where I'm going to stop. Thank you so very much for this opportunity.
So much, Dr. Olushola Aborede, Kolawole, Dr. Oak. It's been fantastic having this conversation with you. And Dr. Olushola is a transformative mind, someone who has worked extensively outside the continent and is both adding value outside the continent, outside Nigeria, and also inside the continent and inside Nigeria, touching the lives, because I must begin to think about the quality of business leadership that you're bringing to the ABA and also to your organization that are currently running your business in the continent of Africa and specifically in Nigeria and also in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much for your time. We look forward to having you next time on this platform in Just Africa.
Thank you for the opportunity. You take care.
Yeah. And that is a wrap on the first, or the part one, should I say, of Just Africa. So we're going to break. Don't touch the dial, because when we are back, we'll go into part two of our conversation. We have a prominent guest who is standing by to have another conversation that has to do with business, economy, and development. Do stay with us.
On the 19th of August 2025, Paris will come alive with the prestigious People's Choice Governors Awards taking place at the Gauche Hotel, Paris. The prestigious People's Choice Governors Awards is designed to celebrate governors who have contributed immensely to their states in different countries across the world. If you are a governor who's gone above and beyond to deliver transformative projects in your state and country, then this award is for you. To partake of the Governor's Excellence Awards this year taking place in Paris, all you have to do is send an email to souqnexus.com with the words, "I accept," and we will get right back to you. You can also send a WhatsApp message to the WhatsApp number scrolling on your screen right now. You don't want to miss Paris for anything, and we are looking forward to celebrating you and your achievements this year. So contact Souqnexus to make that happen.
Over the past 10 years, we've seen that the impact of many lawmakers have been underrated. If you are playing a pivotal role in enacting laws and shaping policies for your community, society, or nation, then this is for you. The People's Choice Legislative Excellence Award celebrates the individual achievement of lawmakers who have worked tirelessly to enhance the lives of their constituents and contribute positively to their entire well-being. Now, if you're wondering where this will be taking place, it will be taking place at Radisson Blu Dubai Creek on the 25th of September 2025. To take part in this award, all you have to do is send an email to souqnexus.com or send a message to the WhatsApp number scrolling on your screen. We want to see you at Radisson Blu Dubai Creek. Wouldn't you rather be there?
A very good afternoon to you. Once again, welcome to Just Africa. We are reaching you live from our studios at Souqnews Television. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souqnews TV. We just concluded part one of Just Africa. If you weren't watching, well, I'm glad that you are joining us at the moment. So pick up your phone. You can send text messages and contribute your quota to the progress of the program. Now we are into part two. In Just Africa, we dive deep into a critical but often misunderstood question. What is holding back Africa's innovation sectors from reaching their full potential? And more importantly, how can we rethink the idea of risk, mark that word, risk, to unlock unprecedented growth across tech, creative industries, and knowledge-based enterprises? Our focus today is on rethinking risk, unlocking growth in Africa's innovation sectors. Rethinking risk in this context means challenging the conventional attitudes and the frameworks that treat innovation in Africa as too risky to support, whether it is due to uncertain returns, a lack of data, weak institutions, or underdevelopment market. The goal is to redefine the risk as something manageable, to navigable, and even necessary for innovation and growth. In many parts of the world, innovation thrives on bold ideas, patience, capital, and a tolerance for trial and error. But in Africa, risk is often framed as barrier, not an investment. So today, we explore how shifting our risk lens from fear to opportunity can drive transformational growth. To guiding us into this conversation is a truly visionary guest. We will unveil our guest in a brief moment. Do stay with us. Welcome back. Now, joining us is Musa Sanusi Ahmad. He's a visionary creative strategist and documentary filmmaker whose work intersects global trade, visual storytelling, and innovation systems. He is the founder and principal of the Trade Media Company, where he produces cinematic records of international trade and labor processes. He has worked with global outlets like the BBC, Al Jazeera, the National Geographic, and the New York Times as a field producer and fixer. Musa is also the founding partner of Smart Outliers, a design and innovation firm, curator of TEDx Dala, amplifying voices at the intersection of creativity and impact. Is the co-creator of the Film Development Program for Africans, mentoring young storytellers, and also a veteran contributor to Africa's fact-checking and media integrity landscape. Musa Sanusi Ahmad, welcome to Just Africa.
Thank you for having me.
You're very much welcome. Now let's jump into the program. You operate at the intersection of global trade and creativity documentation. Now, from your experience, how is risk why is risk misunderstood in Africa, especially in the innovation and creative sectors?
So risk is a very important and very sensitive word when it comes to activities that has to do with being different and trying to innovate and do something different out of norms. So therefore, if you are trying to do something differently away from the traditional way of doing things, most often you are going to first challenged of how you are going to be misinterpreted, misunderstood when it comes to taking risks and being different. And forgetting that most of the time, the visionaries that get the world developed, get us innovative, change the way we do things, make things that we do better. Most of the time, they take creative risks, and also most of their backers and sponsors take the financial risks. So risks in the creative sector and the creative industry at large is highly misunderstood. And that is why locally here in Africa, we are facing large chunk of challenges of meeting up with the world. Think of what is going on in the area of exhibition, virtual reality, AI, and also augmented reality. All those things are things that are part of what make the world competitive, what make development admirable. So if you really check, see the kind of films we produce, see the kind of TV we do, and more than anything, do you see how many people have you seen operating in the theater sector of the creative industry? And likewise, think deeper into our media. We don't like taking risks. That is why you hardly see us operating in a large uh, in a mega way when it comes to media. We don't invest in our TV. We don't invest in anything. That is why we are just afraid of taking the risks, and we are taking large chunk of our resources to uh, bigger corporates, which is the bigger manufacturing landscape, and forgetting the SMEs, forgetting other areas of that needs innovations. Because majorly when people are talking innovations, they think of technological advancement, and technological advancement is just I don't count it even as innovations, because it's something that when it happens, it propel across all other disciplines and industries. Because think of AI now, even a sewage collector in your neighborhood is thinking of how he can use AI to do his job better. Think of motor vehicle, bicycle. Think of Jenny things. I mean all this development, printing press. Everybody, when things happen, everybody, every industry pick it up. So it's now the innovations will now go deeper into each discipline and profession. Think of the people playing across passion. They are using all this new technology. So they need innovation, they need to take risks, they need investments. And that is why every creator, every player, either in the mainstream or in the downstream or the Wall Street, the financial street, need to understood how risks could be taken. How can we start to sponsor a lot of ideas? How these ideas matters to us in order to get better, and that is what create jobs. Imagine in a population of 200 million plus, but we are always consumers of innovations. We are not creators of innovations because we don't likely want to invest by taking the bold risks. We want, let's for example think of what is going on the social media or creator economy. Nowadays, a large majority of Nigerian youths are getting their day-to-day or financial benefit from all this creator economy. But but we don't think of, can we create a local alternative for this creator economy? Because our server, our information, our data is not close to us. We are not in control. Can we empower our talents to produce a local alternative, for example, for YouTube, for Facebook, for Twitter? And it's all about taking risk. And if you go,
Thank you. Sorry, Mr. Musa Ahmad. Sorry to interrupt you. I think you're saying very, very important things. I don't want you to rush it so that we can get all the best from you. Now, let me take you back just a little bit. Now, what are some of the practical tools or approaches that innovators in Africa can adopt to make their work more investable or de-risked? Now, I know in answering this question, you might be thinking I'm taking you completely away from risk. But because when you talk about people who do not take risk, so we are able to, expand our frontiers into new environment where we can do what Mark Zuckerberg is doing, Facebook. We can invent an alternative of Twitter or of the Thread back here in Nigeria. But what are some of these tools? These tools, are they available for us to jump into those deep waters to swim?
yeah, we have everything. When it comes to, that's why I tell you earlier that I don't see technological advancements as innovations. They are just typical advancements. Once they happen, everybody wants to belong and want to start using them. The real innovation starts locally in every discipline, in every industry, trying to say, okay, how can we use this to advance what we are doing in our industry? Think of medicine. Medical doctors are trying to start using AI to fast track and make their work and their operation and their services better. Think of researchers, medical researchers. They are using it to fast track some solutions to viral diseases and challenges and all other diseases. So the major issue is we at individual level, a lot of people in Africa take a risk within their reach, what you could be able to take. But most of the risks they are taking cannot take them to the next level. They need much more resources to do advanced things. So the creatives, the professionals and practitioners are researchers, individuals from all disciplines. What they need to start doing is working as a collective. Instead of working on individual level, they know that they don't have support from either government and financial services, fund managers, they don't trust them with resources. And nowadays, family and friends, they are trying to be very sensitive and courteous of their resources. So they are not giving out disposable income to say, oh, take the next bus to Onisha and start your life and see what you could be able to produce in 5 years. So the better way is let's put in our resources in one basket and start taking a bold, bigger risk. And from there on, we could be able to start doing bigger and bigger things. Because, for example, we want to be frontiers to solving diseases, viral diseases like maybe HIV and other prominent diseases. Like now we have issues with what do you call it, sugar, TB. We have all these other diseases that are disturbing our continent. And we have the technical manpower that we can say, okay, we bring these people together, we fund them for 5 years, and we are expecting a result. Or we fund them for 3 years, we are expecting a result within these 3 years. All your challenges are handled. All you want you to do is make sure that within this period, you answered our problems, our challenges, our crisis, and from there we could say, okay, we are getting to the next level.
Thank you very much. Now, you spoke about something quite critical, and that had to do with funding. Now, do remember that business ventures are, voluntary ventures. It's the kind of, for a capitalist or for an investor is going into business, is looking at, okay, within the short period of time or the long period of time, between 1 to 3 years, I want to be able to make my capital, or I want to have some form of profitability from my investment. And when people take a very, very good look at that and they are trying to make investment towards the aspect where they felt, very, very much comfortable and convenient for them to get back some form of returns. And what is required in the investment climate, or where the government is trying to drive the attention of potential investors to, it's quite capital intensive, without providing the necessary funding for these persons. How can we cover this gap? Okay. So, Mr. Ahmad Musa, if you can hear me clearly. So I was talking about investment and how businessmen and women want to invest in areas where they feel comfortable, where they can get back their money, because they feel going into ventures like producing or planting palm trees is going to take between 1 and 5 years. Their investment and their capital is going to be trapped in that form of investment. And because of the peculiarity of the African continent and the environment, they are not sure if they'll be able to get back their capital that they pour into that business between 1 and 5 years or 1 and 7 years. So it seems justifiable if they do not have sponsorship or funding coming from the government or from an angel investor to go in there and to take the risk by themselves, because they do not have the financial capital. How do we solve these problems?
Okay, the major problems is people think like investments investment is all one night affair. Most of these corporations, that global corporations that we see that are doing well, that they are developing, there is one rationale they have. We are going to invest in you and we are going to develop with you. And think, for example, most of the unicorns we have in Nigeria, the investment they got is not just we give you money. No, it comes with data. It comes with research support, advisory, and business model development. So every industry, like you make mention of the tree planters, if they get the right agricultural investor who understand that terrain, he know the value that I invest in you, not with anticipation that in 1 year my money will come back. I'm anticipating, I'm investing long term, which is 10 years. My money will be recouped with large majority benefit. And we all know this investment strategy is very prominent with people like Warren Buffett. You don't invest in things that in any business that you want to withdraw his money back in a year. You want to invest in a business that he won't ever even sell a single share from that business. So majorly, the problem we have is most of our investors, locally investors and even international investors coming to Africa, they don't understand the market. That is why time after time you heard that there are conflicts between investor and the business he invested in. I know you remember the crisis of Plutawave. You remember a lot of fintech and other companies that closed shop, and there are even so many fintechs and other corporate businesses that are already in conflicts. They're already either doing ADR with their investor or they are already in court because of other challenges of investment. Because most of the people that comes is all about something different. They don't understand the business they are investing. It's just that, oh, Africa is rising. The economics says that Africa is rising. Forbes says Africa is rising. So Africa is the next big bank. So we are all coming to Africa to arrive something that we never saw. So it's really not possible. So, but if businesses really understood, local people understand, so it's better they form a cooperative, a collective, and do some sort of roster arrangement, which is what do you call it, the asusu adashio, something like that, to empower their own businesses and create even bank for themselves. You know, like these farmers, we have a bank of agriculture. So instead of solely depending with a government-backed bank of agriculture, we can create other banks, commercial banks of agriculture or microfinance banks of agriculture, which is the main sole idea of creating those banks is to empower local farmers, small scale exporters, and make much more. Because in Nigeria, we have a lot of things. In Africa, we have a lot of things. It's not just mineral or agriculture. We have talents. Think what Sadiq Khan told Nigerians the last time he's visiting Nigeria. He openly told us that UK needs Nigeria. It's a marriage. It's a kind of marriage of inconvenience. Like it's a marriage that no way we can part ways because one need each other. We supply a lot of things to them from the angle of talent, different professionals, academicians, physicians, researchers, all sort of things, bankers, executives. We supply them with talents, and they are okay with that. And that is why you don't have challenges traveling to UK. Most of Nigerians don't have that challenges. The percentage of the visa issuance is very high with the UK. So if you check things like that, there are things that we have to take into consideration. And a lot of time we sign deals like international agreements, but Nigerian government or African government forget that it's not about signing the deal alone. The resources are always needed to back a deal into fruition. You sign a deal between Brazil and Nigeria to do creative things, to do manufacturing, to do export things, but most of the Nigerians don't have the resources to to counter or to compete with Brazil? How do you think there is going to be balance in trade, or how Nigerians can leverage this agreement? It's not possible. It needs resources. We need to start thinking outside the box and start taking that bold risks. And when it comes to bold risks, is trying to use government resources to do things. For example, we have a very big financial pool of pension fund. That pension fund is not just going to be just sitting there. We need to start leveraging it and start doing creative things and taking risk with that pension fund. Even if you take that risk with that pension fund, you have to create a ways to ensure that risk you are taking. That is why insurers and insurance industry exists. A lot.
Now, Mr. Musa Ahmad, sorry to butt in here. You have made a very, very valid point. And most times businessmen, businesswomen, business persons cry aloud that the risk itself in doing business in Africa or in Nigeria, it's just too many. The myriads of challenges that you are faced with. You need to provide your own electric power and energy if you are involved in manufacturing, because manufacturing and industrialization is what Africa should be working towards. You have to provide your own electricity. The West is preaching the sermon of renewable energy, but getting renewable energy to power a manufacturing facility is quite capital intensive itself. And if you are going to approach the commercial banks for you to get some form of money to lend yourself to get into your business venture, you are going to be paying between 27.5% and 28.5%. Now, some of those crimes that you mentioned, they are getting loans for single digits. How do we de-risk those who are trying to take risk to get into business venture in Nigeria?
So locally in Nigeria, one of the major challenges we have is double standard in access to resources, double standard in legal, in judiciary, how people were treated when they have conflict with the law. There is always that double standard and maybe favoritism and nepotism, and that discourage a lot of investors from coming to Africa, because that is totally what is called political instability. And again, we have challenges with currency volatility. We have other challenges, which is absent of infrastructure, which you have already mentioned. And all these things can be solved when we start to avoid doing favoritism and reward competence. If people have competence, let's reward them and give them the chance and leveling field to operate. And if after that, we have to understand what our market really needs and what kind of investment barriers that we need to wider or to narrow in Africa. For example, we have alternative banking or alternative finance or Islamic banking way of Islamic finance. In this Islamic finance, there are a lot of projects in Nigeria, especially infrastructure-wise, road construction, highways that were financed using Islamic finance. If you are walking across Nigeria from north to east, from south to west, you can see that there are lots of projects that were funded using Sukuk. And there are lots of bonds, Mudaraba, Musharaka, and all this arrangement, Islamic finance arrangement, that were leveraged. And a lot of commercial banks are already buying the idea and creating facility that is Islamic finance encouraged facility. And that is all facilities that need to be leveraged. But our major problem is that, just like I told you, nepotism and double standard, is that I, as a person operating in the media, I need the resources. The kind of media I operate is a media that needs a lot of resources, and also I need to be in communication with my people from across the world, associate and partners. So in that sense, I approach a commercial bank that I need resources. The first thing a commercial bank will tell me is my business is uninvestable because of so many reasons it cannot be, it's not reasonable. Because if commercial banks abroad in the UK are funding businesses like me, why commercial banks in Nigeria cannot fund businesses like me, and giving me a reason that I'm not investable or I'm not fundable? So the real sense is that we are not rewarding competence, we are not rewarding development and innovation. We are going to reward something different. And that is why you remember the case of Aliko Gote when he's doing his refinery. He have a lot of crisis, funding crisis. He have to even create a bond, which that bond end up having crisis until I think Buhari makes some swift intervention after Gote beats Buhari, and that thing make it workable. So in that case, I'm telling you, the major crisis we have is we don't understand the market, and also we are not ready for development. We are still want people to be giving us money as a grant or as philanthropy. We are not ready to develop. So whoever is coming to Africa is coming with the mindset, I am coming to get access for free things. So when I give you a suite and you are already enjoying your suite, then I will go and start taking away the needed resources I come for. And that is what happened in our mining and mineral and metals industry. And that is what happened when it comes to our talent. And that is what happened when it comes to our manufacturing. That is what happened into our infrastructure development. Every sector.
All right, thank you very much. Now, I am going to thank you very much, Mr. Musa Ahmad. Now, I need us to take a breather here. Let's go on break. By the time we come back from break, you've mentioned something quite important, film, and that the space of tech, the space of film, and the movie industry is something that is worth talking about. And because you have a very, very good strategic standing in that area too, we are going to talk about that before we bring the program to a close. But at the moment, let's take a breather. I'll be back in a moment. Do stay with us.
On the 19th of August 2025, Paris will come alive with the prestigious People's Choice Governors Awards taking place at the Gauche Hotel, Paris. The prestigious People's Choice Governors Awards is designed to celebrate governors who have contributed immensely to their states in different countries across the world. If you are a governor who's gone above and beyond to deliver transformative projects in your state and country, then this award is for you. To partake of the Governor's Excellence Awards this year taking place in Paris, all you have to do is send an email to souqnexus.com with the words, I accept, and we will get right back to you. You can also send a WhatsApp message to the WhatsApp number scrolling on your screen right now. You don't want to miss Paris for anything, and we are looking forward to celebrating you and your achievements this year. So contact Souq Nexus to make that happen.
Welcome back. Many thanks for joining us on the program. Now, I'm having a conversation with Musa Ahmad. He's a documentary and filmmaker, not only in Nigeria, but globally well known. Thanks once again for joining us on the program.
Thank you once again.
Yes. Now, you've worked inside Nollywood and supported documentary training across Africa. What are some of the biggest misconceptions that investors or policymakers have about African creative industry? I know you have indirectly referred to that when you said you approached some banks in Nigeria. But looking at it from other perspective, what's their impression?
So the major perception from policymakers, investors, especially local investors and other players, is that Nollywood is all about entertainment and it is nothing to reckon with as a business. So he's individually driving. I'm passionate about filmmaking, so I just use my money, get a caricature. And again, other people use it as just a get easy to get fame machine. So if I want to get fame, I would just get to Nollywood and everybody will know me. Forgetting that Nollywood is a film and TV industry and it's a machine for storytelling, and we can use it as a soft power as a nation to empower our cultural diplomacy, agenda setting, and empower our foreign relations activities. So whatever people are seeing on the TV or on our films are things that the kind of perception they will be having about Nigeria. I think in the early thousands, it's all about rituals and other cult groups. And if you travel a lot, the first question people will be asking you is about ritual for money and other stuff like that. They will feel like that is a narration, and the rich guy die, and there is conflict about his inherited wealth and much more. So of recent, there are a lot of development. If you check the quality of production, the quality of storytelling, there are a lot of development, and this has to do with the efforts we are putting in that regards. But we need government backing to do a lot of quality, intentional storytelling. And that quality, intentional story come with high level of resources. Think of Kulia Folaya. Kulia Folayan have been campaigning about this access to resources. They have been campaigning about distribution, and the government have never responded like seriously. If the government responded seriously, they will start doing pumping a lot of resources. They have the resources and they know the call they can make to pump your resources to the industry. Think of Bolale Austin Peters with her theater live performances. It's something that we need to empower and see Bolale having performance across the region. And this could be something that will be for. And think of Africa at a large. We have Chioma for over 10 years. She has been championing the Africa International Film Festival, and the kind of support she is getting is good, but she needs more to do more for Africa. And for years, she has been hosting this event locally in Nigeria. And if we are intentional about using our creative industry and the entertainment industry, we may have empowered her to take this festival to other African countries so we can create some soft power. Think of Burna Boy, think of Iresta, think of Olamide, think of Wizkid. All these are soft power that we should have been using right to empower them and support them. And we should also support in the incubation of the next generation of Burna Boy, the next generation of Iresta, that we can be doing much more globally. And likewise, government, the reason why I'm talking to government more is that if government say yes, everybody would say yes. So I need to keep talking. Think of the plan of Hannatu Musa, the Minister of Arts, Culture, Tourism and Creative Economy. She has been talking about Destination 2030, which is tourism. But the machine that could promote this Destination 2030 is our film and TV. And what kind of money we are plugging in and what kind of story we are encouraging. Think of US. They have been promoting stories about spying, FBI, America great. So what kind of story are we promoting that is saying Nigeria great, Nigeria better? And that affects our soft power. Think of the movies you watch now on YouTube. It's still about romance. They just want to cling with the audience, with the people that are watching, especially Cameroonians, Sierra Leoneans, and other Ghanaians. So it's all what they want to sync with and what to sync. There is not any kind of agenda or direction. And it's all because that I'm using my money, I have to know how my money will come back. And if there is a lot of resources, support from government, such intentionality will be there, will be visibly identified, just like we identify just intentionality in the US and Hollywood movies or UK cinema. I know if you have watched Slow Horses, you see that it's an intentional storytelling about UK great again. And if you go to manufacturing, let me say design and manufacturing, we used to import spare parts, which are basically original design manufacturing, and again OEMs or original equipment manufacturing and all other things that we bring to Nigeria, distributed through Onitsha and other.
Okay, so sorry about that we encountered that sort of challenge. Musa Sanusi Ahmad, if you can still hear me, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you, Musa Sanusi. Musa Sanusi Ahmad is a visionary, creative strategist and a documentary filmmaker whose work intersects global trade, visual storytelling, and innovation systems. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Musa Ahmed. But I look forward to having you again on the program, not only in Just Africa, but also in other programs in Souk, Business Landscape, and the rest. It's been a wonderful moment having this conversation with you.
So thank you. Lastly, if I can send a message, is that Africa needs to do more. We have a lot of opportunities based from talent, and again, from our mineral resources, and likewise, opportunities from having a large chunk of diaspora who are just think tank and executive across Fortune 500 and other innovation and research and universities. All we need is quality leadership. And when we have quality leadership, we have the avenue to take a lot of risks. And more than anything, let me not be biased. For media, we need authentic storytelling and intentional communication about what it takes to be Nigeria and what Nigerian brand and identity is. And if we do that, people like Kemi Badnoch will not be distancing from Nigeria, and a lot of people will be taking risks on Nigeria.
Thank you so much, Musa Ahmed. It's been a very, very wonderful moment with you on the program, and that's where we'll draw the curtain. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Very much welcome. And this is where we draw the curtain on Just Africa, today's episode. My name is Oyinpriye Krumale. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Souqnews TV. Have yourself a very wonderful day.